right, Crafty Review here, coming from the Panteezy.
As always.
Got some carne asada getting slapped on the grill. Sunday fun day, so we figured we could throw out a couple of reviews today. We actually picked a beer out of Victory Brewing. They're in Donington, Pennsylvania. And the reason why I picked this is I know we've done a couple of pilsner reviews in the past, and it's still one that I'm still trying to break through and find one that I really like. And this one that they have is their Prima Pils, and it's a hopped up version of a pilsner. So I'm pretty excited to check this one out. So a little bit of background on the brewery. Again, like I said, coming out of Pennsylvania. Two childhood school friends. Back in 1973, they met on a bus, and it just so happened that they grew up friends all along the way. Had a great interest in beer, and eventually in 1996, when they started brewing, they brewed together.
There you go.
Lifelong beer brings friends together.
A mutual love they got, and they all started on a bus. That works.
Exactly. So if you want to kick in a couple specs on
actually, it's pretty crazy. Real quick, I was actually at Bevmo picking up some beer, and I was going through looking around, and I didn't know you had picked this one out already. And I was talking to this dude, and he was like, yeah, I really love Pilsners. And I was telling him my 2 cents about Pilsners. He's like, yeah, I actually did a beer tasting, and I had a Pilsner. I can't remember what it's called, but I think it's this one. And he actually was talking about Prima. But he's like, well, I'm in Flagstaff, which for those of you who don't know the geography of Arizona, that's about probably 3 hours away from Phoenix. And he was like, oh yeah, from Flagstaff, and I was craving it, but I couldn't find it at Flagstaff. So he told me that he drove all the way down from Flagstaff to that Bevmo that he did the tasting at, just so he can find it, and he picked up a couple 6-packs, and he was heading home, so it was a turnaround trip.
We've all made those long trips to get beer that we love to have, right?
So but just knowing that, I'm like, hell, if this dude will drive 3 hours for it, hell.
Definitely.
But yeah, a little bit of the specs on the beer. The malt bill on here is imported 2-row German malt. So they're trying to keep it 100 with the malt variety that they decided to use, keeping true to a pilsner. For the hop variety, they have whole flower, German, and Sketch hop. For those of you that don't know, when you're brewing a beer, there's usually 2 types of hops you can use. The most popular one are pellets, so they almost look like, if you ever had a hamster or a guinea pig, those little pellets, and they just take the hop and they crush them into those pellets. They also have whole flower, so think of it like a bud of a rose or something like that. Same hop, the only difference is the pellets are smashed up together, and whole hops are exactly that, just a whole hop. Not really big of difference. Sometimes you can get more flavor out of a pellet, more utilization out of it. But the idea with a whole flower is you're not doing anything to it. You're not putting it in a machine and crushing it. You're just keeping it in its purest form.
Right off the vine, pretty much.
Yep, keeping it off its purest form, which I can respect. I can appreciate that. So by using a malt based for Pilsner and then keeping it true with that whole flower, I mean, they're just trying to, in my eye, it looks like they're just trying to keep it as pure can be. So. But then on the ABV scale, nothing crazy. 5.3 on the ABV, and then 64 on the IBU, which I think that's a little high for
when I was doing a little bit of research with this, they didn't specifically say on their website what the IBU was going to be. So I did some searching, and as you go from different sites, if any of you guys have ever done any research on beers, there's always going to be a variance, and sometimes there's a huge variance. I put a big question mark at the 64 because for a Pilsner, you would probably think it's going to be anywhere from maybe 25 on down. Usually, it's very mild tasting beer. One thing that I forgot to mention with the buddies that were brewing beer, because of the style of beer and the malts that they're using, one actually went and did some schooling in Germany for a period of time prior to coming back and actually jumping in full bore with their brewing, business. So everything kind of wrapped up like, well, they've had the schooling, they've had the sense of going to Germany and tasting the traditional style of beer. I'm hoping it all transitions into this as well. So
there you go. Again, trying to keep it in its purest form. Got some training in Germany too.
Nice gold color. You can see there. It's actually not as clean as some of the other Pilsners we've had though, right?
Yeah, usually it's pretty crystal clear. I mean, Pilsners, for those of the non-converted craft beer folks that might be on the fence, your commercial style beers, your Bud Lights, your Coors Lights, your Michelob Ultras, those are all based off of Pilsners, so that style. So if you've ever had that in a glass, it almost looks clear, well not clear, but yellowish, but you can see right through it.
It's very clean.
With this one, I mean, I can barely see my finger through the edge here. It's actually got a bit of a haze to it.
That's the hops coming through.
Yep.
I'm sure it's going to have a combination of the hops and the malt. So.
Yep. A nice citrus, nice little tart smell to
that
it.
too. And usually with the Pilsner, for me, the scent of it is really dry. This one actually, you get that citrus, so it cleans it up.
Yeah.
It actually is a little bit more
Yeah.
refreshing than just a standard Pils.
That's actually a pretty strong mouthful of variety there. I mean, I taste a lot of citrus up front, so I tasted a lot of sweet tart malt, but whatever maybe bittering hop or something that they used cleaned that up real quick, but balanced it also. So it was like a little hit of a citrus like mouthful, and then like a quick sting of a citrus hop to it. At least that's what I got from out of it. A lot of citrus, a lot of tart.
I think you're spot on. With some of the Pilsners we've had in the past, that Pilsner malt comes through and it actually brings out through the whole entire taste of the beer.
Yep.
Whereas I got the initial jolt of that, but then it cleaned up with the hop.
Yep.
On the backside of it. Really enjoyable. Again, I think this is one that I could definitely drink.
Yeah.
It's not a traditional Pilsner, obviously, with the name, but and what they're doing with it. But this is a really good beer.
And I know one thing we've always talked about with Pils is that it's hard for you and I to get into it because we're big hop heads. We love that hop taste. And a lot of the Pilsners, and then some other ones out there, you taste more malt than anything else. So it tastes, to me at least, tastes heavy, doesn't taste, it just tastes really strong, no bitterness. And some people love that.
Yeah.
But I don't. But this one has actually, I think, a really good balance of both. It's not crazy bitter. It's not going to make you get a funny face when you drink it. But it's still going to be clean, and it's going to be very refreshing and minimal.
Definitely a lot better than what a standard Pils would be. So going back to the IBU, I would probably put this in about the 50-55 category.
Yeah.
You know, it's based on the information, again, like we mentioned, it was 64 is what they're throwing out there. I don't think it's quite that bitter, but there is some bitterness to it. So.
Yeah, don't let it scare you,
No,
I guess is what we're saying.
No, it's well-rounded. I really enjoy it. So on a scale of 1 to 5, what do you want to give it?
Yeah, you know, I know we've done a couple Pilsner reviews before. I don't remember what the scores were, but by far, I mean, I think this is probably the best Pilsner that I've had.
Oh, good.
So, you know, with that, I'm going to give it good 4.5. Really good beer. Again, like I said, Pilsners are not my thing, but that's a damn good beer. That's a damn good Pilsner.
I'll go in line with the 4.5 as well. Everything that we've mentioned before, kind of is well-rounded with this beer. I like the hoppy bite. It kind of cleans up some of that dry, traditional notes of a Pilsner that come with it. Good solid 4.5. I would even almost venture 4 3/4.
Yeah.
Yeah, real close, right in that area. Question is, would you tap it?
Oh, I would, and especially it's starting to get summertime out here. Man, dude, it's gonna get hot. So we were talking about this. My brother-in-law and I is like, you know, we want to try to find more of that citrus in the summertime, more of a good hop variety, but a lot of that citrusy, something to keep cool in the summertime. Might have to have some of my folks try this, man. It's a good beer.
Yeah,
I tap the shit out of it. You?
Yeah, I'd tap the shit out of this, no doubt. Going back to having, these warm days coming up, and you want something that's just not so heavy on your palate. Pilsners traditional Pilsners aren't going to be so much flavor impact. They're a little bit cleaner of a beer since the viscosity of the beer and the way they look. But with the hops, because we are hop heads, I think this is a pretty good combination.
Yeah,
Really
definitely.
some of the food pairings that we've mentioned before in the past, they've had on their website to pair this with this Prima Pils with some seafood, burgers. I don't know what burger doesn't go good with any type of beer, honestly, and pizza. Obviously, pizza and beers.
Yeah.
It's like peas and carrots.
Yeah, well, you're starting to see a lot of that too. Just real quick, you're starting to see more breweries and restaurants start mentioning, hey, we got this burger or this pizza. It goes really well with this type of beer. So one thing I would challenge you guys out there is take a look. If you go to a restaurant, the next time you're out, ask your server, hey, with what I'm getting, is there a certain beer you would recommend? Or look on the menu. A lot of times they're putting that on the menu so that you can have a great drink to complement the food that you're having. And that's a good spend of money any day.
Usually brings the whole meal together,
There
right?
you go.
Well, you heard it here, dude. Victory Brewing, their Prima Pils. These guys are doing it for at least the last 20 years.
Know a thing or two.
Know a thing or two, been around the block. So don't forget your growler. Remember to follow us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube. This is Gabe Londo Crafty Review. We'll see you next time, guys. Cheers.